Haley Strain is a junior at Hastings High School and will be a 2025 Raider graduate. During her time at Hastings High School, she has participated in volleyball, basketball, and softball. To date in high school, she is a 2-year letter winner in volleyball and basketball. In softball, she is a 3-year letter winner and has been the starting pitcher for the team since the end of her 8th grade year. Haley gives a great interview where she talks about the importance of sports, coaches that have had a positive impact on her life, and the teammates that help her excel in sports. Here we are with Haley Strain. Haley, we always start at the beginning of someone's life. So let's start at the beginning of your life. And the people I like starting off with are your parents. So let's hear about your mom and your dad, who they are, their names, where they work, their occupation, things of that nature. And did they always live in Hastings? Did they eventually move to Hastings? Once again, let's hear about your parents growing up.
Okay, so there's my mom and my dad. My mom's name is Angie, and then my dad's name is Shane. They both lived in Ellsworth, Wisconsin. So they live close to each other. They didn't really meet. They met after high school. But my grandma and both my grandmas, they live back to back. So they grew up by each other. And my mom is an RN, and then my dad is a chemist.
Perfect. You do have one brother. Let's hear about him too.
His name is Marlo. He's a freshman this year. He gets on my nerves sometimes, but he's really fun to be around.
That's great. And then let's hear about you too. I like hearing about where you grew up. When did you guys move to Hastings? Did you always live in Hastings? Once again, when did you guys come to town here?
So I was actually born in Red Wing and then lived in South St. Paul until 2nd grade. And then I moved here for my 2nd grade year, and then we've been here ever since.
Perfect. That kind of leads into my next question. I always like hearing about the schools our guests attended here in town. And you don't have to go through every single teacher that you had, every single grade level. But with each grade level or each school, there was teachers that had a big impact on you. Let's hear about those teachers. I know talking to people, middle school is a blur for some people. They don't really remember a lot from middle school. But once again, let's hear about some elementary school teachers, middle and high school teachers that had a big impact on you.
So I went to McCullough for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade. My 4th grade teacher, Mr. Pap, Mr. Pap was a really great guy. He was so positive and everything, so that was great. And then middle school, I would say Mrs. Gullix. She was so nice, and I just liked her science class.
Wonderful. Now you're at the Hastings High School. Anyone having a big impact on you so far at the high school?
Mrs. Peterson. She's so nice, and good thing her class was easy because that made me like her more.
Awesome. Next thing we always like hearing about is the sports you played growing up. So right now, you're a 3-sport athlete at Hastings High School. But let's hear about the sports you played growing up, and then we'll stop somewhere around 9th grade because that's when sports seem to get a little more serious for a lot of people.
Okay. So I started basketball and softball 4th grade, I want to say. I played those two. And then my 5th grade year at the middle school, I tried playing tennis. That was a one and done thing. Never again. And then I joined volleyball 7th and 8th grade because that's when Hastings starts it or whatever. And then basketball, we kept going. And then 8th grade year, they brought up the 8th graders to JV. So we played up there. And then same thing with softball. The 8th graders brought up to JV, which was fun.
Perfect. I really like going through everyone's high school career. So you got 2 full years, and we just started your junior year right now with sports. So let's go through all those years. I like hearing about what level you played on for each sport, any kind of big accomplishments for you individually. So if you're a captain, if your team did something great like a conference championship, a state qualifying a bid as well, maybe placing at the state tournament, and then anything else that goes with your team, any major highlights from each year. So let's start with that volleyball season. We could go with your 8th grade year since you got brought up to JV. So we'll start in 8th grade, talk about each season where we are now, starting off with that fall, 8th grade. We'll go fall, winter, fall. Then we'll go spring, 8th grade as well. And then we'll kind of work our way through where we are right now.
Okay. So my 8th grade year for basketball, I just played on JV. with a lot of my friends, which was really fun. And then for softball, I played with JV most of the time. And then for one game versus Italy, they pulled me up to play. And then I got to pitch in that game as an 8th grader, which was really fun. And then after that, I was pulled up for sections. And yeah, I got to play with them.
Hmm. What was that like? You're an 8th grader and you're playing with a lot of older girls. You're pitching in a high level game like the section tournament as only an 8th grader. What was that like for you?
It was really nerve-wracking, but
Mhm.
it was cool to be with them. And then they all were so nice and had led me around and stuff. So it was fun.
Awesome. Did a lot of the older girls maybe help you out when you're on there? Did they see you were nervous? Anyone that really stuck out from that time that really helped you jump levels like that your 8th grade year?
Yeah, Mackenzie Treba. She helped me because she knew I was young, and then
Mhm.
her mom was also my pitching coach at that time. So she helped me during that. But yeah.
Awesome. So we get done with 8th grade. Let's go to 9th grade once again. We'll start off in the fall, then the winter, then the spring. And once again, we'll work where we are. We'll work till we are right now in your high school
Okay.
career.
So ninth grade year, fall of ninth grade, I played volleyball. I was on the ninth grade team 9A. And that went really well. Lots of improvement, but it was fun. And then the winter of my ninth grade year, I played basketball. I got brought up to varsity, which was super cool. That was fun. But I realized my potential or whatever, at that moment, and that I could be good. I got all conference honorable mention. And yeah, that was good. And then ninth grade spring softball, I played varsity. I was the starting pitcher. I got all conference honorable mention. And then we vote on an MVP, and I got the MVP. And then something that was big or whatever during that time, we beat ECU in our first section game, which was really cool because we were a 6 or 7 seed and they were a 2 or 3. So that was really cool. And then 10th grade fall, volleyball, I made varsity as a sophomore, which was really cool. And the thing with volleyball is most of the varsity team is seniors. So it was cool to be one of the only sophomores on the team. So that season was a little bit rough, but
Mhm.
we got through it. We played some really good teams and played some really good volleyball during that time. I got all conference honorable mention for volleyball at that time. And then moving into 10th grade, the winter time, basketball varsity again. And that season, there was some rough points at the start, but then Trent came in to coach us and he did a great job. He's perfect for it. He came in and then pushed us, and then we became pretty good, you could say. I got all conference during that time. And then same with the spring. So 10th grade spring, I played softball. Was on varsity again. Got all conference and then MVP of the team as well. That season, it was pretty well. We played some good softball, but yeah.
So one thing that you said, going back to your 9th grade year of basketball, you said you really realized your potential. What do you mean by that? Is there something that you saw in yourself and you really have worked on that the last couple of years in relation to basketball? Or are you just saying maybe your overall athletic talent, you had a lot of success and you realized that you can really play at this level and really excel?
Yeah, it was just being a freshman and being brought up onto varsity or whatever, and people seeing that I put in the work or whatever to be good is it helped me. But then I also realized after a couple games, I was like I can play up here and I can do the same thing as everyone else up here.
So you're a junior right now. You've been playing at a high level, 8th grade year JV, varsity for a couple years as well, early on in your high school career. Do you really think that early exposure to varsity level and playing at a high level early on in your high school career Do you think that really helped you become a leader for the girls around your age level?
Yeah, definitely. It's cool, like, being, like, on varsity or whatever, talking to them and stuff, but also puts something on me to I have to push them to be the best too, so, like, when they're up here, we can succeed even more. So, it's not just, like, I'm on varsity and they're not, it's, like, helping them get better and prepared for this level so we can be a better team as they come up, so
Mhm. When I'm seeing leaders too, like you, that got early exposure at a varsity level and now they're juniors, leading those younger kids or those kids that are your age, do you really think you lead with your example or your words? Or maybe it's both. How do you kind of model your leadership?
I think it's by, like, my actions because if I, like, say, "Oh, I'll start," then everyone else will come behind me in a cocky way, but that's what they do. So, yeah, I also lead with somewhat of words, but I think it's more of my actions.
Perfect. So you're a three-sport athlete. You talked about your brother Marlo earlier. He's a three-sport athlete as well. So obviously, sports is very important to your family. So let's dig into that for a second. Why do you play so many sports, and why does sports play such a important role in your life?
Playing sports it's an opportunity, and it's like an opportunity to play with your friends and build connections with people, but it's also, like, fun at the same time. So, like, when you're out there with your friends and, like, you make memories or, like, at the team dinners, they're super fun. I love those. But you also get to be competitive and show that side of you or whatever, which is really fun.
Mhm. You talked about that one game 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, your ninth grade year, softball against Eastview in the first round of the section tournament. And obviously, that could be a favorite moment as a Raider athlete. So you could talk about that a little more, or if you have another moment from your career here at Hastings High School as a Raider athlete, let's hear about your favorite moment.
Okay. Ninth grade year in Hastings, we do this, like, softball day where all the little kids play, and then we play at 8 PM, which is really fun. The entire day is super fun because we get to go watch all the little girls, and they all get to come watch us. But specifically our game, we played Monmouth that day. No one expected us to beat them or whatever, and then we went in there, we played tough, and we came out on top with a run roll, which was really fun. Everyone was cheering, and it was just a great atmosphere.
Yeah, my daughter, obviously this, plays softball right now, and that softball day in Hastings got rained out this year, so it wasn't maybe the best experience this year, but I thought it was so cool to see volleyball or geez, not volleyball, softball going from early in the morning all the way to our high school girls at night. I think that's an awesome event that, just like you said too, you get to go in there and watch those little girls play softball, and then at the end of the day, they're sticking around and watching you. So that's a really cool event. And how long has that been going on for?
I think it started 3 years ago, I wanna say,
Right
like,
on.
from today.
Is that something you always look forward to every softball season?
Yeah. It's just, like, s in your head, it's like another game, but, like, when all, like, the little girls are there, it's so fun, and they're, like, doing their little softball chants, and it's,
Mhm.
like, the cutest thing ever.
For sure. Another thing I always like hearing about here on the podcast is about success. Every single person defines success in different ways. So, when you're thinking about your sports career, playing sports, how would you define success?
Think success, like, it goes beyond winning, but, like, winning is part of it, but, like, meeting goals and, like, trying your best no matter what, like, giving 100% of effort. If you go out and let's just say, like, during basketball, like, you, like, played your hardest, put 100% effort into it, you're gonna get out good things no matter what. Yeah, like, trying no matter what, like, when you put 100%, like, effort into something, most of the time, 99% of the time, you're gonna get something good out of it no matter what, even if it's, like, not a win or a loss, but yeah.
That's great. I know you're only a junior right now, so maybe college is way out of or way off your radar right now. But are you thinking about playing sports in college, or are you thinking about a certain level you want to strive for in college athletics?
I definitely wanna play sports in college, but I'm not quite sure. And reached out to a couple colleges, but we'll see where that leads to.
Awesome. These next couple of questions, I always say it every single time I ask them, is that they're really impossible questions to ask. I should say this, they're really impossible questions to answer. So we'll start off with coaches. We always like hearing a coach that really had a big impact on you. And we say maybe the best coach you've had. And that could be thrown around a little loosely there. But who do you think a coach is throughout your whole career? You could be elementary school, middle, high school, that's had a really big impact on you and maybe would qualify as that best coach.
My mom and dad. So my mom coached me in softball. My dad coached me in like basketball and volleyball or whatever, which they're really good. But if that doesn't, I'll just say another one. I'd also say Coach Fike from softball. He puts in 100% and gives us so much, and he just does so much for us girls, and it really shows. And then he also knows how to push you, um, and he knows like your capability and stuff, which is really nice. And he knows how good you can be or how okay you can be. So yeah.
Awesome. And the next one, similar question, but now teammates. So these are the girls you're playing with each sport level. It's really hard to maybe tack down one girl, especially you being a three-sport athlete. So if you want to pick a couple girls, that's great too. And you, for example, have been in a unique role where you're the young girl on the team, and you talked about Mac earlier, that girl that kind of really helped bring you into the team, help you as a young girl. So think about someone like her that really helped you when you were young. It could be someone your age that's always pushed you. It could be that person that you always go to when you got issues or problems that you need solving. So who do you think one of the best teammates is? Once again, you can pick multiple girls if you really want.
I'll do two or so. But for softball, Lauren and Kendall Jenkins, the being brought up in ninth grade, they were so like they put you under your wing and take you with them. And they're so kind at everything. They're so nice with everything that they do. But they also know how to push you to your best because they like to be competitive, so you like to beat them. When they give like 100% of into what they do, it makes you want to be your best and give 100%. So yeah. And then in basketball, Kate Reuter, when we were younger, we used to be like the same height. So like we'd always go against competitions in like little practices that we do, like knockout or whatever. You always wanted to beat each other because then you have like the bragging rights or whatever. So going against her and competing against her really helps with your like ability or whatever. And it's super fun. And it's always just a friendly competition at the end of the day. Well, now it was not back then, but
Awesome. I love the next question I always ask. It changes sport to sport. Interviewing old alumni, hearing about who they thought their rivals were or the big game they always looked up to or look forward to. It's fun to hear about that compared to our athletes now. So, who's a particular opponent that you always like playing against? I said it before, but you're a multi-sport athlete. If you want to pick a couple different teams, you can go for it. So, who's that opponent you look forward to playing every single year?
so when volleyball season comes around, there's like this bus trophy or whatever with Simile. So it's super fun playing against them and having an initiative to like win, which is super good. And then basketball, I would have to say, because every time we play them, it's like good competition and good basketball. And if we ever do come out on top, it's extremely fun. And then in softball, especially this year, North St. Paul, because this year I started to play club softball for Minnesota Magic. And so the pitcher on North St. Paul, she was the other pitcher on my team. So going against her is super fun. And yeah, it's just fun seeing them out there and then playing against them.
Awesome stuff. Last couple questions then for you, Haley. We always like ending on advice for parents, coaches, and student athletes. So the first group that we always look at is parents and coaches. Thinking back on the last couple years of high school, if you had to give parents and coaches just a few pieces of advice, what do you think it would be?
The first thing that I would say is support is key. Support them in everything they do because at the end of the day, it is just a game and they'll still be your kids at the end of the day. So just support them in whatever they want to do. And yeah. And then the next thing that I would say is like, let your kids like do what they want. Step back and let them play or whatever. It's still just a game. So just let them go out there and have fun with their friends because that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Now it's younger student athletes. So thinking back on softball day in Hastings, those little girls that are coming to watch your softball game, cheering you on during that, you're cheering them on in the beginning. They're cheering you on at the end of the day. If you had to talk to younger girls just like that, or any student athletes, had to give them a couple pieces of advice, what do you think it would be?
I'd say work hard because in practices, even if no one's watching, hard work pays off all the time. And if you have like a dream or whatever, like work towards yourself first, do what you can, work hard, give 100%. And then another one I'd say is believe in yourself because don't let anyone like try and stop you. Because if you know your fullest potential, then you can get to bigger places and better things. So just don't let anyone stop. If you have a bad coach, just like deal with it and just keep working.
Awesome. Haley, that's all the questions I got for you today. The last thing we always do is just turn the microphone over to our guest. So anything else you want to add in? Any questions I forgot to ask you? Any shout outs you want to give? You got a lot of friends, so maybe there's going to be a lot of shout outs here. I'm not too sure. So once again, the microphone is yours and you can go for it.
I'll shout out my mom and dad and then Dana Strain because he's my uncle. And then Hadley Annenberg.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thanks, Haley.
Yep.